what we're going to be covering today is Liberty Bankers Life. Specifically, we're going to be covering their final expense product. We've been contracted with Liberty for I think since 2014, I want to say. So it's been quite a few years. Liberty Bankers is not our number one carriers, although I'm going to be potentially making a case for Liberty Bankers that you may want to consider them to be your primary carrier. They have a lot of advantages over other carriers. At the end of the day, we all know is that there is no carrier that's perfect. Okay, that's why it's important as final expense agents that we work with a handful of carriers. Now, I'm not in the belief is that when you go out to see a client in your portfolio, you should have 10 different carriers, okay, for final expense. You just need a few, okay? But I'm going to give you some reasons why Liberty Bankers should be in your top 3. Okay, they're certainly in my top 3. And I think if I was a full-time agent writing business, is that I would probably, knowing what I know now and some of the changes that I've seen, is that I would probably make Liberty Bankers, probably bring it up to my top 2 carriers. And I'm going to explain why here in just a second. So if you're not contracted with Liberty Bankers, I would highly recommend getting contracted. I believe they are approved in every state that we do business in. Anyway, but let's go ahead and move into the call. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. If you are watching this on a replay, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, if you're a senior solutions agent, please subscribe. This way you have access to all the training videos that we are going to do in the future, the ones that we've done in the past. If you are just browsing the internet and you stumbled across this video, please, you're welcome. Subscribe to the channel. There could possibly be some good content that you may be able to enhance, improve your business. This is my contact information, so if you need to contact me directly, there's my cell phone number down the right-hand corner. It's area code 630-890-8609. I encourage you to contact me and for us to engage in some dialogue. I promise you, I can help you with your business. I know what you're going through. I've been doing this for a long time. I've written thousands upon thousands of cases. I've trained and worked with hundreds, probably thousands of agents. So we've got a really good system in place. The thing about it is that if you really want to take advantage of the system, part of it is engaging in dialogue and conversation and coaching. So if you haven't reached out to me for a coaching session, please go ahead and find time to do that. Get on my schedule and let's have a conversation. Let's see how we can increase your business. Now, a couple of things about Liberty Bankers Life. Just some of their real quick competitive advantages. Number one is that they're extremely competitively priced. They're right up there with Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, Oxford. They also have a 3-tier application. Now, some companies have like really good rates, but their underwriting is a little sketchy. Okay, I'll give you an example, like Oxford. They have really good rates, but that's their only claim to fame, is that they have really good rates. Their underwriting is like kind of chaotic. They don't have they have health questions on the application, but you can't get a risk assessment. The decisions are based on an algorithm. So, a client that you think is healthy will get declined because of medication combinations, and other people that you don't think will get approved. In other words, it's kind of a crapshoot. I like something that's a little bit more black and white. Of course, it's never like totally black and white, but at least with a company like Liberty Bankers, is that you can pretty much take a look at their application, read through the knockout questions. They do have a underwriting guide with medications. What also I like carriers that have a 3-tier application. 2-tier, like level, modified, that's okay, but I like it like this. I like a preferred, standard, and modified. Okay, this way your clients that maybe have some health issues that would normally maybe take them to graded, or in some cases like a modified plan, depending upon the carrier. With a company like the Liberty Bankers, they may qualify for a standard plan, which means the rate is a little bit higher, but they're still getting same day coverage. They're really like the cascading 3-tier application. I think that's huge. Their modified plan is a little bit different. Now, with them, their modified is a graded policy, is what it is. So it has a 3-year graded period. Now, one disadvantage to their modified plan is like with Mutual or some of the other carriers, the graded period is only 2 years. With Liberty, it's 3 years. Okay, but there's a little bit of a bonus. So it's a 3-year graded period. If they were to pass away due to natural causes in the first 3 years, they're going to get back 100% of premiums plus 10% of their premiums, which is pretty standard with most companies. Just as a selling point, let me give you a little bit of tip when you're selling a graded or a modified plan. One thing that how I frame this, how I represent this to the client is that, Mr. and Mrs. Client, the great thing about this product, and I do it as a positive, not a negative, is that, because you just got out of the hospital 2 days ago with a heart attack, the great thing about this product is we're going to be able to get you coverage. Okay, we're going to be able to get you coverage. Now, with this policy, there is going to be a 2-year reduced death benefit, but we're going to make sure that your family cannot get hurt financially with this product, because if you were to pass away in the first 2 years, your family is going to be entitled to get 100% of the money that you put into the policy, plus they're going to add an additional 10% to the premiums. This way, your family will not get hurt financially. And then, of course, you want to cover if they were to die due to an accidental death, obviously it's going to pay 100%. But here's the thing that's kind of unique about Liberty Bankers with their modified policy. Okay, so we know it's an extra year of graded. Okay, I think we can get over that. After they've been in the policy for 3 years, going into the 4th year, it pays 100%. So 10 grand is 10 grand. Once they've gone through the 4th year and they're entering the 5th year of coverage, it gets increased to 105% of the face amount. So an example of a $10,000 policy, they're going to get an extra $500 of coverage for free. Once they've been into the policy for 5 years and they're entering into the 6th year, they're going to get an extra 10%. It's an extra $1,000. So, which I think is it's a competitively priced product as well. So I think that's a great selling tool. The fact that, yes, it's an extra 3 years of graded, but you hang in there, 5 years in 1 day, you're going to get an extra 10% of coverage. I think that's really a strong selling point to sell on Liberty Bankers. All right. Okay, paperless application. The one thing about Liberty Bankers that you need to understand is on their their final expense product, it is a 100% paperless, computerless application. There's no e-application. There's no paper application. The only way to complete an application is over the telephone. Okay. Kind of the cool thing about that is that you can never make a mistake. Now, one of the disadvantages is that you got to be able to make sure your client can have a phone conversation. I mean, I got to be honest. I've sold some clients where, like, I'm just being honest. There's no way in hell I'm getting them on a phone with anybody. So I'm going to find another carrier and do a e-application or some other, some different way of doing the application. I don't think they could complete the phone application. Okay. So just kind of going through the highlights here. I'm going to use a different highlighter here. Let's see, use this one down here because I know how it works. Okay. We're going to go through these, the paperless application process right here. First thing you want to do is when you're working with your clients is I'm going to go over the worksheet in just a minute. You want to ask your clients the health questions. You want to get them pre-qualified. In other words, you don't hop on the phone and have the representative ask the health questions. You need to be a good field underwriter and get your clients qualified before you get on the phone. You also are going to need to gather their personal information, like their banking information. So when you get on the phone to do the phone application, you need to have everything done. You need to have them closed on the premium, have their banking information, know when they want their first premium drafted, and you're required to read the HIPAA disclosure. Okay, there's a HIPAA form, so you want to be able to read that, or at least I usually kind of paraphrase it, because what will happen is, because the entire application is done over the phone. When you do the phone interview, one of the things that the interviewer is going to ask, they're going to ask, Mr. and Mrs. Client, did your agent read to you the HIPAA disclosure? And if your client's looking at you like, no, the phone interview is over. You're going to have to, all right, no problem, hang up, read the disclosure, call back. So just make sure you do the HIPAA disclosure. Read that and coach your clients on the phone. And once you've done one or two, you'll get the hang of it. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to call DIMA. Who is DIMA? It's a third party. It's like an aptical. It's the third party vendor that is going to complete the application for you. They're going to speak with you. They're going to get your information, your agent number. So make sure you have your agent number. They're going to speak to the client to obtain the disclosures that have been read. So they're going to read them a disclosure, something like, voice signature, and by answering these questions is the same as a written signature. Do you understand that? So there's a lot of disclosures that they have to go through. So they're going to go through the disclosures, and they're going to obtain the voice signature. Okay. Then they're going to verify the health info. So while they're doing the phone interview, and they've got the client's social and date of birth and all that, in the background they're going to be running the prescription history and MIB. So that's going to be done. Going to complete the application and required forms. There are no required forms. They're going to give the agent an immediate underwriting decision. So what's cool about this is that you're going to get a decision. As far as I know, it's 100% of the time. I mean, they're either approved, preferred, standard, or modified, or they're declined. I don't think I just can't remember ever a situation where it had to be referred back to an underwriter. So you're typically, I'd say 99% of the time, you're going to get an instant decision, which is great. Some of the advantages and experiences is the application is easy and agent friendly. Now, I will tell you this, is that as far as being agent friendly, it does take a little bit of time. They're normally on the phone with the client for at least 15, 20 minutes, because it takes time to read those questions. And occasionally, if they're taking a certain medication, they may ask follow-up questions. As an example, if they're, diabetic, they may ask them about their treatment for diabetes. Sometimes these interviewers have a tendency to go down a rabbit hole, but typically it takes no longer than 20 minutes on the client's end, and then with the agent. So maybe you're on the phone, I'd say worst case scenario, 25, maybe 30 minutes. Okay. Really no longer than what it takes to do. If you've ever been in the house and you do an e-application, you know what I mean? By the time you get logged in and type everything in, it takes a good 20 to 30 minutes to do that. So really no longer. The one thing I kind of like is it does kind of engage the client. And sometimes like that suspense where you're like, you're sitting there with your client, you got your fingers crossed, hoping that, that they're going to get approved. And I know I know what I do is like when the interviewer comes back and says, "Oh, congratulations, you've been approved," like I'm high-fiving my clients and kind of making it, a big deal. So that part is pretty cool. So the other advantage is that with Liberty Bankers, I'm on number 2 here, a lot of the health questions are combined issues that are normally separated by other carriers. So what I mean by that, if you go through their application, the health questions are listed, 1 through 5, 1 through 6, or whatever it is. Instead of breaking those down where maybe a client has to answer yes to multiple questions, Liberty Bankers does a good job of combining a lot of health questions into one question, which really makes it sometimes better. You can get that tier bump where that's what I mean by, like, with one carrier it may be modified, but because of the way Liberty Bankers ask the health questions, you can possibly get them bumped up to standard. Again, the client feels like they're participating, feels like they're part of the decision. Client doesn't have to worry about getting approved. Like I said, you're already getting that decision. The beneficiary can be a funeral home, which is great. Now, a lot of times that doesn't happen, but sometimes you'll have that client where they say, well, I've already done some pre-planning. I know I'm going to get, buried at, McPherson's funeral home. Well, they can name the funeral home as a beneficiary, which is good because a lot of carriers do not allow that. Number 6, really important. Recorded call protects agent from fraud and misrepresentation. What does that mean? Well, I'll just give you some. Now, I've never had this happen to me, knock on wood. Never had a complaint, never had anything go to the insurance commissioners or been written up by an insurance company. But we've had some agents in our agency get into some hot water, a little bit of hot water, nothing terrible, but a little bit of hot water where they've written the policy and the clients passed away in the first 2 years of the contestability period. Okay. Well, we all know you write a client up today and 6 months from now, they pass away from a massive heart attack. The insurance company is going to be scratching their head thinking, what did we miss? They're going to do a full investigation. They're going to pull medical records. They're going to do a lot of digging to see if this client had been previously diagnosed or taking any kind of medication that was not disclosed. FYI, you guys probably already know this, but man, if you're writing policies in smaller towns like out in the country in rural areas, not all doctors and pharmacies report to the MIB or prescription history. Okay, sometimes they get prescribed medication that slips through the cracks. Okay, my point is that this protects you because the answers to the health questions are recorded and all the recordings are kept and made part of the application on record. So you have a client that, let's say, God forbid, they do pass away prematurely in the first 2 years. It's because of health reasons, not accidental. Liberty Bankers decides to do a investigation. They find out through their investigation that this client lied. They misrepresented their health. They lied about medication. They lied about a known diagnosis. But then you got a family member, you got a beneficiary, you got a family member who says, well, wait a minute, I was there when we did the application. The agent never asked those health questions. The agent committed fraud and trying to make it into a big deal. You're protected. You're protected because all the answers are recorded within that client's in their voice with the voice signature. So it really protects you. And of the agents that I've seen get in trouble, it's been because of that. It's been because they've written the client lied about their health, the client passed away, then the family gets involved saying, well, the agent lied on the application. Okay, so in that case, it really does protect the agent. So that's another great reason to use Liberty Bankers. So we're just kind of, listen, man, I'm not saying Liberty Bankers should be your go-to carrier. I'm just making a case that maybe you should consider them a little bit more. You should write a little bit more Liberty Bankers than what you're writing. Oh, as a side note, which I don't think I have it later, they pay extremely fast. Extremely fast. Guys, this is just a little work. When you get the worksheet, this is just a little kind of like how to do it, which we pretty much already covered. This has the number that you call in to Diamond. This just has some tips on here as far as how to do the process. So as you're getting contracted with Liberty Bankers, if you choose to, if you need some help, if you need some coaching on how to write one of their applications, let me know. I can certainly give you some assistance with this. Okay. The question is always, well, if it's a paperless application and you're not doing an e-application, like, how do you document everything? Well, you got a 2-page worksheet, okay? And the 2-page worksheet is for you, the agent, but the 2-page worksheet needs to be filled out completely. So if you're going to write a Liberty Bankers, what you're going to need is the 2-page worksheet, and you're going to need the HIPAA disclosure just to say that you did read it to your client. But in this, once you've closed your client on the premium, so I'm doing my presentation, and I asked my client, Bob, you tell me which of these work best for you. Bob says this one. Great. I'm going to go into, like you would normally go into completing the application. I'm just going to go in and I'm going to complete the worksheet and make sure that I get all their information. This way, when I'm doing the phone interview, I don't want to be stumbling and the interviewer says, what's your client's social security number? Oh, hang on, I forgot. Bob, what's your social security number? Like, you don't want to be going back and forth. You want to make sure you have everything written down. So make sure that you complete the worksheet, you're getting their banking information, and you are getting when they want the payments. I just noticed something on here, guys. This is a really, really old worksheet. No, just notice down here it says Direct Express Card Benefit. FYI, Liberty Bankers does not accept the Direct Express Card. They ended that about 3 years ago. So I apologize. Again, this is an old worksheet. Other than that, the new one is pretty much the same. They just took that off. You can do monthly premiums on the 1st, the 3rd, or one of the Wednesdays. So if your clients are getting their Social Security on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, you can get this coordinated with their Social Security. I will talk about this later, but one of the things I love about Liberty Bankers is that they do true Social Security billing. I will talk about that in a minute. Here is the worksheet. Here's the health questions. Guys, if they answer anything in part 1, anything in this section right here is answered yes, they're not going to be approved. Okay? So get familiar with the worksheet. I don't think we're going to go through all the health questions. This is not a we're not going to get into underwriting so much on this one. But it's kind of the normal stuff on here. One thing that's kind of cool about, and I will talk about real quick on Liberty Bankers, because I can't remember if I talk about it later, is that they're the only company I know that only has a 2-year look back on internal cancer. So you can have someone that has had breast cancer, prostate cancer, whatever. As long as they're cured, you know, they're past treatment, 2 years, they're cancer free, they can get approved preferred, only a 2-year look back. So this is the worksheet. So you want to make sure is that you go through all the questions verbatim, make sure that you are answering them correctly. If your client answers yes to anything in part 2, then they're going to get qualified as modified. If they answer any questions in part 3, they're going to be considered standard. Okay, as an example, here, let me highlight this a little bit so I can read this a little bit better. COPD is a big one. So if they have COPD, they can get standard. Chronic hepatitis. So you can have that client that does have chronic hepatitis, they can still get a standard rate. I believe they do need to be on medication. Insulin use. As long as their insulin was after the age of 25, they can get standard. Irregular heartbeat. So now this is an area where I would not use Liberty Bankers as an example. If I have a client that has an irregular heartbeat and they take, AFib or, arrhythmia issues, I'm probably going to write them with Foresters or another company that doesn't knock you for having an irregular heartbeat. That's why it's important to have, like I said, a handful of carriers. Okay, moving on. So that's the worksheet. Make sure you complete this before you do your phone interview, because this is not an area you want to be stumbling in. You want to make sure that your clients know the answers. And typically what I do is I have the clients are actually holding the worksheet, so when they go through, they can read along and they know the answers. I've already marked them off with a pencil. No, 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 no. So when they're doing the phone interview, the phone interviewer is going to read the questions verbatim exactly the way they're written on this piece of paper. Okay? So I'm just giving you tips on how to make sure that your business gets issued and you don't stumble and your client doesn't stumble during the interviewing process. Available riders. I'm going to go over the riders now. Accelerated death benefit. I'll just tell you some advantages with their accelerated death benefit. I think all the other carriers, the accelerated death benefit is a 2-year. Is a 1 year. They have to be terminal with less than 1 year. Liberty Bankers, it's a 24-month life expectancy, and it is for terminal or chronic illness. Okay, they can receive up to 80% of the face amount up front. When they do go ahead and pass away, the family gets the additional 20%. Accidental death and dismemberment. As far as I know, you guys correct me, but I don't know any other carrier that provides dismemberment, provides an additional benefit for death by accident or loss of arms, legs, eyesight as a result of an accident. So, if they're in, a serious car accident and, they lose their vision because of it, they can get 80% of the benefit. So, I don't know any other carrier that does that. Children's rider. Now, we don't typically do a lot of children's riders. We do grandchild riders, but usually when we're writing younger folks, We're not typically doing Liberty Bankers, but if you have that client who needs a final expense product and has a child under the age of 17, you can provide up to $20,000 of coverage, and the coverage is good until age 25. Then it's also convertible. Covers all children ages 0 to 17 for one cost, and it's $3.49 per 5K. And I believe it's done where it covers all the children. So as an example, if your client has like 6 kids, it covers all 6 of them. And then each unit is 5,000. Each unit is $3.49. So it's a good deal if they have more than one kid. If they only have one kid, it's not such a great deal. I may look at a different product. Now their Grandchild Rider, that is really good. When I write Liberty Bankers, I'm always adding on the Grandchild Rider. I think they have one of the best riders on the planet. Let me review it with you real quick. Grandchild Benefit Rider provides up to $7,500 of coverage up to age 75. Now, there's not different units you can buy. If you add the rider, it's automatically $7,500. You can't add like 2 units or 3 units. It's just one face amount is available. Okay, covers the kid up until their age 25. Grandchild must be between the ages of 0 and 17. As long as they haven't had their 18th birthday, they're good. So they could be 17 3/4 and they're still good. The cost is $1.20 per grandchild. It's so inexpensive. Now I've got this continue. There's so much information. I'm continuing it. The other thing is that both grandparents can add the rider. So as an example, if you're writing up Bob and Mary and they have their favorite 2 or 3 grandchildren, Bob can put $7,500 on the grandchild. Mary can put $7,500 on the grandchild, and you can get that grandchild covered for $15,000. Okay. And the other benefit is that the rider may exceed the insured's face amount. As an example, if the grandparent takes out a small policy, let's say for $3,000, you can still add the $7,500 grandchild rider, because some carriers won't let you do that. Some carriers, as an example, if the client is only taking out a $5,000 policy, the grandchild rider can't be more than the face amount of the insured. Liberty Bankers doesn't care. Okay, which is going to bring me to a little bit of a sales tip here in just a minute. Let's see here. Grandchild Rider is convertible up to 5 times the amount of the rider upon age 25, or if they get married. Okay, so once they turn 25, the rider falls off. At that point in time, there's a grace period. They can convert it up to 5 times the amount without any proof of insurability, or if they get married. So if you got somebody that gets married young in their early 20s or whatever, if they want to, with the marriage certificate proof of that, they can go ahead and increase it as well. All right, now for a little bit of sales tips. I can't tell you how many times I've done this. How many times where you've gone into a house and like the clients are all, they got pretty good coverage. Like they've had a policy, they've had it for 5-10 years, they've got $10,000-$15,000, and they're kind of all covered. And you can sell the Liberty Bankers as what I call gap or inflation policy. Mr. and Mrs. Client, this is so fantastic. I'm so glad that you took out this policy. You got really good coverage. You got $10,000. Of course, you took that out 10 years ago. Just to let you know what a lot of clients are doing in your situation, they're just going ahead and they're participating in an inflation policy, or what we call a gap policy. Well, what is that? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Client, what that does is it covers the gap between when you took this policy out 5 years ago, and let's face it, you're 70 years old. life expectancy, you're probably going to live easily another 10, 15 years, maybe even longer, is what a gap policy does is it covers the cost of inflation over the next 10 or 15 years. What most clients are doing in your situation is they're simply taking out a small gap policy for 3,000 to 5,000. Now, what this does, guys, is it leaves a door open to find out a little bit more about their grandchildren and to pitch them on the fact that not only can they get a gap policy, they could get a small policy for 3,000. They could also cover all of their grandchildren under the age of 17 for $1.20 a month. Well, I mean, it's a great add-on. So look at this. Inflation. Okay. I just did a small sample or like an illustration for you here. Add the Grandchild Rider as a bonus. You have a female, as an example, a female age 65. You do a $3,000 face amount. You add on 4 grandchildren. The monthly premiums are only $20 a month. $20 a month. She gets an extra $3K, and she can cover 4 of her grandchildren. Now, if she didn't cover the grandchildren, I think the policy is only like 15 or 16 bucks. But she could have, maybe she has like 6 grandchildren she wants to cover. I mean, it really is just a great little sales tip to be able to go in and add a little bit of coverage. Listen, I know, $20, it's nothing, right? It's a small policy. Some of you guys might be thinking, $20, I don't even want to waste my time. Why not, man? That's $20. That's over $200 in commissionable premium for what? Spending an hour with a client, maybe an hour and a half? Come on, man. We got to just, it's all about, when we're writing final expense, man, it's all about volume. It's all about getting that pipeline as full as possible. So I think that was a great little sales tip. We're going to continue along with some more of the competitive advantages. Issue ages 18 to 80, same health questions for all. What I love about this is that you can go back. I mean, their final expense, you can go back and you can cover people in their 30s or 40s who are not in perfect health. Some other carriers, they don't offer that. The final expense product starts at age, 45 or 50. You can go back to age 18 to do this. Competitive pricing. Check this out. Just think about how competitive pricing Liberty Bankers is. 65-year-old female, non-tobacco, $10,000 face amount with the accidental death and dismemberment, $44.66. Just compare that to the competition. Mutual of Omaha, same coverage. And I love Mutual. Send them a lot of business. $10K with the AD and with just the accidental death, $44.51. Guys, they're within 10, 15 cents of each other. Oxford, everyone talks about, Oxford's so cheap, Oxford's so cheap. They're not that cheap. Oxford for 65-year-old female, $10,000 face amount with no accidental death, because they don't even offer it, $43. Now, as an example, with Liberty, if I were to take off the accidental death, I'd be like at $42 and some change, actually cheaper than Oxford. So Liberty is extremely competitive pricing to go along with their liberal underwriting, which we're going to talk about a little bit. Liberal underwriting, height and weight chart. Yes, they have a height and weight chart, but man, it is, of all the carriers that have height and weight charts, Liberty Bankers by far is the most lenient. Check this out. If you look at their height and weight chart, you can be 5'10", 304 pounds and still get preferred. Okay, they are very diabetes friendly. Insulin use after the age of 25, you can still get preferred. Now, they can't have any complications. Okay, neuropathy and things like that is going to throw them out. into standard or modified, I'm not sure, but if they are, if you have that client that's been insulin dependent for a lot of years, but their diabetes is under control, they don't have complications, you can still get them preferred. Hep C with medication is okay for standard. Bipolar is okay with preferred. I know Transamerica just recently, like I used to send like all my crazy people to Transamerica. Like if they're bipolar, schizophrenia, taking antipsychotic medication, used to always send that to Transamerica. I don't know. Well, they've changed their underwriting. They don't want those people anymore under preferred. Send them to Liberty Bankers. They can get preferred. Cancer, talked about this before. As far as I know, I could be wrong, but the only carrier I know that only has a 2-year look back for cancer to get preferred. Some other advantages: paper application. We've already talked about this. Know before you go. Lead reimbursement program. What's this? Lead reimbursement? Okay. Liberty Bankers will reimburse agents will reimburse agents $30 per application to help offset the cost of advertising. You are required to have at least 10 net applications in a month to qualify, and you have to show proof of advertising. So in other words, if all of your business is just referrals and you're not spending any money on advertising, they're not going to reimburse you. You have to give them a receipt that shows that you paid for leads, or could be Facebook leads, telemarket leads, newspaper ads, something, because it's a reimbursement. They're not just giving you $30. Again, you have to write, in order to qualify, you have to write 10 applications, and then it goes back to the first application. So if you write 10, you get 10 net issue paid, you're going to get $300 for advertising, and there's no limit. You send them 30 deals in a month, you're going to get $900 for advertising. You must be a gold or a platinum agent, which means you have to have 70% or higher placement and persistency. In order for them to track your placement and persistency, you have to have business on the books for 4 months. So if you're a brand new agent, this is kind of just so you know, and you're just starting to write business with Liberty Bankers, and your first month, you send them 10 apps, you're not going to get any lead reimbursement. You need to be sending them business for 4 months, so they can go back, so they have at least 4 months of placement and persistency to be able to get you qualified for gold or platinum. I hope that makes sense. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to send them 10 deals a month for 4 months. It could just be 1 or 2 deals. They just need deals in the books so they can track that persistency. The other thing that they do that I love about Liberty Bankers is that they offer a renewal bonus program. I don't know if you guys can see this, so I'm going to highlight it. Okay, if you are well, let's say if you're a silver agent, which means you have less than 70%, 13-month placement and persistency, you're just going to get your regular renewal, okay? If you are a gold agent, which means you're above 70%, 13-month placement and persistency, they're going to bonus up your renewals by 150%, okay? 1.5 times. If you're a platinum agent, you're going to get bonused up 75% of your renewals. Now, the other thing that's pretty cool too, which I had the question is that, well, what if you're a recruiter, and let's say I recruit an agent, that agent is platinum, but I'm only gold or silver, is the, because the upline also gets the differential in we get an override on renewals as well. Well, with Liberty Bankers is that everybody in the hierarchy gets bumped up on those deals. So if you are an agency builder and you have an agent that's platinum, but let's say you're only silver, on those deals that they write, you're still going to get the same override on that. Hopefully I'm explaining that properly. Incentive trips. Liberty Bankers is known for their all out, off the chart incentive trips. Okay. One of the things that they do, which is so unique, I wish every carrier did it, is that they do incentive trip rollover points. What does that mean? Now it's for silver, gold, so everyone gets to participate, silver, gold, and platinum. If you are a silver agent, if you don't make a trip, 40% of your business the points are going to roll over to the next year. So let me just get as an example. Let's say last year, let's say 2018, let's say you sent them, $30,000 worth of business. Obviously, it takes $75,000 to go on a trip. Okay, so let's say you only did half that. Let's say you did $35,000. 35,000 times 0.4 equals 14,000. So January 1st, you got 14,000 point rollover. Okay, let's say you're a gold agent and you did 35,000 last year. That's 17,500. So let's see, let's say 7,500 minus 17. That means for this year, for 2020, you'd only have to write 57,500 in AP to qualify for the trip. I don't know any other carrier that does that. I think they're just, and on top of it, I'm just telling you, like, I've met the owner of Liberty Bankers, Mark Aremia, our national sales rep. They're just like really good people. They're all about the agent, and Liberty Bankers is like, they're like a real final expense company. They're not an insurance company that kind of dabbles in final expense. Like, this is like their bread and butter. Policy reinstatement. Again, this is like an industry first. I don't know anybody else that does this. Policy reinstatement. The clients can reinstate policy as far back as 2 years, but they do have to have proof of insurability. But if you have a client that lapses, and let's say it's been lapsed for 6-7 months or a year, you can call that client up. You can do it 100% over the phone, and they can get that policy reinstated. Now, just telling you honestly, like what I typically do, if I have a client that relapses, I usually go back. I try to write them with another carrier so I can get first-year commissions again. But this is kind of an easy way to kind of do it over the phone, and it protects your placement, your persistency, get your renewals back on track. The other thing that I love about Liberty Bankers is they do what I call true Social Security billing. What does that mean? Liberty Bankers drafts premiums on the actual date clients receive their benefit from Social Security. Not all carriers do that, guys. It's a huge deal. If you're with a carrier and you're noticing that you're having kind of high on the lapses, it's probably because that carrier doesn't do true Social Security billing. What that means is, let's say I get my Social Security on the 3rd. Let's say the 3rd falls on a Monday. Let's say like President's Day coming up. It's going to fall on a Monday, right? Let's say that's when I would normally get my Social Security. Well, Social Security is going to pay that on the Friday before. That's, let's see, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 4 days have gone by. A lot of carriers will try drafting on that day, which is a banking holiday, which means it may not draft until like Tuesday. Okay. Liberty Bankers is going to draft it on Friday, literally the same day, hopefully minutes after their money's deposited. Guys, I'm just telling you, it makes a difference, because sometimes clients just forget, man. they just think to themselves, well, I know they just assume that, if it shows their bank account has $800 in it, that the insurance company already took their premium. Okay. So I won't name any carriers, but there are some carriers that I notice have higher placement or persistency issues, and they don't do true Social Security billing. Annual premium discount, don't run into this a lot, but if you do have a client, maybe this is tax season. You know what? People are going to be potentially maybe getting tax refunds. See if your clients can pay an annual premium up front. They're going to receive a 20% discount if they can pay the premium in full for the year. Okay, which is pretty cool. Some other competitive advantages: they have a great. I love their mobile quoting tool. It's easy to use. It not only does it show the premiums when you do the quote, it also shows you the cash value at age in 10 years and age 20. It also will show the clients the reduced paid up as well. So, if you've got a client who's 60, it'll show them, hey, listen, by chance, if you only keep this policy till age 80, if you want to let it go, here's how much you would have in a reduced paid up. I think this may be our last tip. Telephonic sales ability. With Liberty Bankers, you are able to complete an application over the phone without ever setting foot in the home. Now, I'm not a big sell over the phone guy, but sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes maybe you get a referral that's 6 hours away, or maybe you get a client that they lapsed with one carrier. You can give them a call, find out what happened. Man, just write them a new policy with Liberty Bankers right over the phone. Maybe you're in the Northeast or Chicago, where it's like 15 below zero, and you're going through some of your leads, and you just don't want to go out or call through your old book of business. There are opportunities where selling over the phone can really be beneficial. Liberty Bankers is one of the few carriers that will let you do a telephonic, it's approved telephonic sales application. All right, this is one of the last slides I've got. This is an email that I printed out and took a picture of it from one of our clients, or from one of our agents, just as a not a referral, but a testimonial on how Liberty Bankers was able to help them. This was actually done by Don Patton, an agent down in Tennessee. Don is no longer with us. Unfortunately, due to a health situation, he passed away a little bit over a year ago. So really sad. But anyway, let me just kind of read this to you. Don had a 60-year-old female smoker, used an inhaler, the Provenal. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Also had type 2 diabetes. She took pills and insulin. She was 27 years into a 30-year term policy. Normally COPD, we could have gone through Transamerica, application part 4C question. However, in this case, the application part 4C question, part 8 is insulin use. So she had to mark yes to insulin use, qualified her only for a graded death benefit. My client was crushed, okay? Pulled the Liberty Bankers worksheet, and here's what we found out. Worksheet part 3 question already qualified her as simple preferred because of the insulin. As far as the diabetes worksheet part 1 question 3, diabetes age 9 or younger was no. Question 5, uncontrolled diabetes was no. Part 2 of the worksheet, complications with diabetes was no. Worksheet part 3, insulin use before age 25, answer was no. The result was only one yes. The answer was the because of the COPD, answered to all the health questions. What would have been graded under Transamerica became standard rating, day one issue under Liberty Bankers Life. My client was elated. Always, and Don ends this, always do what's best for your client. In this case, the client won. Another Senior Solutions success event. So great letter, great testimonial on how Liberty Bankers was able to get a client same day coverage that normally would have been declined by some carriers or graded or modified with others. So guys, that concludes, I don't even know what time it is. I felt like I've been talking for like hours and hours. Yeah, we're a few minutes over. So guys, I'll get this published on YouTube, get it out to you. If you're not contracted with Liberty Bankers, hopefully I'm making a case here that you should have them in your portfolio. I love Liberty Bankers. All right, guys, with that, have a great weekend. If you need any help, if you need help putting any cases together, please give me a call. I can help you with the underwriting and help you overcome any objections that maybe that you're having. God bless. Have a great weekend.